Some steam locomotives were engineered so well they became practically immortal. While diesels promised the future, these iron horses kept running decade after decade. From American workhorses to British thoroughbreds, here are 15 steam locomotives that were truly built to last forever. Number 15. GWR 4900 Class Hall, the Great Western Railway mixed traffic pioneer. In 1928, the Great Western Railway unveiled what would become the world's first true mixed traffic locomotive. Charles Collett took an existing Saint-Class engine and fitted smaller 6-foot driving wheels. The result transformed British railway operations completely. The Hall class could haul express passengers in the morning, heavy freight by the afternoon, and secondary services at night. This versatility was not merely convenient, it was revolutionary. Railways suddenly needed fewer specialized locomotives sitting idle between assignments. The design proved so successful that it influenced every major British mixed traffic class that followed, including LMS Black 5s and LNE Thompson B1s. The prototype accumulated over 2 million miles before retirement in 1959. That's circling the Earth more than 80 times. Most of the 259 Halls built survived until 1965, with several running well over 1 million miles each. The secret was elegant simplicity. 2 cylinders instead of 3 meant easier maintenance. 7 Hall-class locomotives survive in preservation, and several still pull mainline excursions today. One even became the Hogwarts Express in the Harry Potter films. Collett proved that sometimes the best engineering is not about pushing boundaries. It is about finding the perfect balance and letting it work. Number 14. The Pennsylvania Railroad K4s Pacific. The Pennsylvania Railroad demanded perfection from its motive power. In 1914, their engineers delivered the K4s Pacific, a locomotive so well designed it remained their primary passenger power for over 40 years. Think about that remarkable achievement. 4 decades of technological advancement passed, yet the Pennsylvania Railroad could not build anything better for the job. The K4s blended proven technology with scientific testing at the famous Altoona test plant. The distinctive Belpaire firebox provided superior steam generation. The 80-inch driving wheels delivered speeds exceeding 90 miles per hour on a level track. When the Pennsylvania Railroad tried to replace them with the more powerful K5s, the newer locomotives simply could not match the K4's reliability under everyday operating conditions. Experienced crews trusted the tried-and-true design. Between 1914 and 1928, the railroad built 425 of them at their Juniata shops and at Baldwin. They hauled the Broadway Limited and virtually every important passenger train on the vast Pennsylvania Railroad system. Locomotive number 1361 accumulated approximately 2.47 million miles before retirement. That is equivalent to 5 round trips to the moon. Only 2 K4s survive today. In 1987, Pennsylvania designated the K4s as their official state steam locomotive. Number 13, LNER Class A4. Nigel Gresley designed the A4 Pacifics to be fast. He did not expect them to be virtually indestructible. When the streamlined locomotives entered service in 1935, they were intended for high-speed express work between London and Edinburgh. The Silver Jubilee service proved the concept immediately. Mallard famously hit 126 miles per hour in 1938, a world record that still stands for steam traction. But here is what most people forget. These speed machines ran reliably for 3 full decades. The class was not retired until 1966. The secret lay in Gresley's 3-cylinder design with conjugated valve gear, which provided remarkably smooth power delivery. This reduced stress on the motion parts considerably compared to comparable 2-cylinder designs. The Kyle-Chap double chimney, eventually fitted to all locomotives, improved efficiency by creating better draft through the boiler tubes. The A4 class consumed less coal and water than comparable locomotives while producing more power. 6 A4 locomotives survive today, a remarkable preservation rate. Number 6, 0007. Sir Nigel Gresley set the post-war British steam speed record at 112 miles per hour in 1959 and remains operational nearly 90 years later. When British Railways retired them, it was not because they were worn out. Number 12, Union Pacific 844. It holds a unique distinction in American railroad history. It is the only steam locomotive that never technically retired from a Class I railroad's active roster. When dieselization swept across America in the 1950s, thousands of steam locomotives went to scrapyards. Union Pacific kept 844 on the books. The locomotive was built by the American Locomotive Company in 1944 as a high-speed passenger engine. The 484 Northern type had 80-inch driving wheels capable of exceeding 100 miles per hour. During World War II, 844 hauled troops and war materials across the vast Great Plains. After dieselization transformed the industry, 844 became Union Pacific's ambassador, pulling excursion trains and special movements for more than 6 decades. The locomotive has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles in preservation, proving that proper maintenance can extend a steam locomotive's life indefinitely. Modern Union Pacific crews receive specialized training to operate 844. The support system that travels with the locomotive resembles a military operation in its precision. In 2024, 844 celebrated 80 years since it was built. The locomotive is not a museum piece. It is a working engine that still hauls trains across American rails, living proof that some machines were simply built to last. Number 11, Norfolk and Western Class J. When the Norfolk and Western Railway needed passenger locomotives in the early 1940s, they did not buy from commercial builders. They designed and built their own at the Roanoke shops. The result was the Class J, arguably the finest passenger locomotive ever built in America. The Norfolk and Western had access to cheap Appalachian coal, so they invested in steam technology long after other railroads had dieselized. The Class J incorporated every modern improvement available. Roller bearings on all axles and rods reduced friction dramatically. The counterbalancing was so precise that engineers calculated the locomotives could theoretically reach 140 miles per hour without damaging the track. In regular service, the J-Class routinely hit 100 miles per hour on flat sections. Number 611, completed in 1950 for just $251,544, remains operational today. The American Society of Mechanical Engineers designated it a National Historic Mechanical Engineering Landmark in 1984. Virginia made it their official state steam locomotive in 2017. When Norfolk Southern needed a star performer for their modern steam program, they restored 611 to mainline operation. The locomotive demonstrates why Norfolk and Western's homegrown engineering surpassed anything commercial builders could offer. Number 10, China Railway's QJ Class. The QJ Class holds a record that will never be broken. It is the most produced steam locomotive in history since 1950, with 4,714 units built between 1956 and 1988. While Western nations abandoned steam after World War II, China doubled down on the technology. The QJ design proved remarkably efficient for its time. The 210 two-wheel arrangement provided massive tractive effort for hauling heavy coal trains across the vast Chinese rail network. Soviet engineers helped develop the original design, and Chinese manufacturers continuously improved it over 3 decades of production. The last QJ rolled out of Datong Works in 1988. By then, the design featured improved welding techniques, better alloys, and enhanced lubrication systems. Some QJ locomotives accumulated over 1 million kilometers in regular service before retirement. When British engineer David Wardale visited Datong in the 1980s, he found production methods achieving remarkable consistency. The standardization meant parts were interchangeable across the entire fleet. Several QJ locomotives have been exported to heritage railways worldwide. In the United States, they pull excursions that demonstrate their robust construction and simple design. The QJ represents steam locomotion's final triumph. The Great Western Railway considered the Castle class their finest express passenger locomotive. History proved them absolutely right. When the first Castle emerged from Swindon Works in 1923, it embarrassed the competition. During the 1925 locomotive exchanges, number 4074 Caerphilly Castle outperformed the London and Northeastern Railway's much larger Pacific locomotives. The smaller Castle used less coal while delivering equivalent pure output. Chief Mechanical Engineer Charles Collett had achieved a masterpiece of efficiency. The secret was meticulous attention to detail. The Castle's internal steam passages were carefully designed to minimize pressure drops. The valve events were optimized for sustained high-speed running. The four-cylinder arrangement provided smooth, even power delivery that was easier on the track than comparable two-cylinder designs. The Great Western Railway built 171 Castles between 1923 and 1950. Many remained in service until 1965, giving over 40 years of useful work. Number 4079 Pendennis Castle famously traveled to Australia in 1977, demonstrating international esteem for Swindon engineering. 8 castles survive today, with several in operational condition. These locomotives work, proving that Collett's careful engineering created machines remaining viable a century after their design. Number 8, South African Class 26 Red Devil. In 1981, British engineer David Wardale created the most efficient steam locomotive ever built. Working with South African Railways, he rebuilt a standard Class 25 NC into something extraordinary. The Red Devil increased power output by 43% while reducing fuel and water consumption by approximately 35% and 25% respectively. Wardale applied principles developed by Argentine engineer Livio Dante Porta. The gas producer combustion system improved how coal burned in the firebox. The Lempor exhaust system extracted more work from each pound of steam. These were not theoretical improvements, they were measured results from actual service operations. The Red Devil's thermal efficiency reached 15 to 20% compared to the 6 to 8% typical of conventional steam designs. Wardale had nearly tripled the efficiency of steam locomotion. If this technology had been adopted earlier, steam might have competed with diesels economically. But South African Railways had already committed to dieselization. The Red Devil ran in regular service until 2003, proving its durability over 2 decades. It demonstrated that steam technology still had untapped potential. Today, the Red Devil awaits restoration, a monument to what might have been possible. Number 7, LMS Stanier Black 5. William Stanier designed the Black 5 to be the ultimate go-anywhere locomotive. Between 1934 and 1951, the London Midland and Scottish Railway built 842 of them. That is not a typo, an entire fleet of identical locomotives, all built to one proven design. The Black 5 could haul express passengers, heavy freight, or local trains with equal competence, and crews called it the maid of all work because it truly could do anything asked of it. The design borrowed from Great Western practice but improved on it over time. 2 outside cylinders provided smooth power, and the tapered boiler steamed freely under all conditions. 6-foot driving wheels balanced speed with pulling power. Stanier got the formula exactly right. When British Railways needed a standard mixed-traffic locomotive after nationalization, they simply copied the Black 5 with minor changes. The design was that good. These locomotives survived until the last day of steam on British Railways in August 1968. Several hauled the famous 15 Guinea Special, Britain's final scheduled steam train. 18 Black 5s survive today, and many remain in operational condition, pulling mainline excursions. Number 4, 5110, hauled that famous final train. It is still running. Some things just refuse to die. Number 6, Japanese National Railways D51. The D51 became so iconic in Japan that its nickname, Dekoichi, became synonymous with steam locomotives themselves. From 1936 to 1945, Japanese manufacturers built 1,115 of these Mikado-type freight haulers. That made it the most numerous steam locomotive class in Japanese history. Designer Hideo Shima created a masterpiece of standardized engineering. The same engineer would later design Japan's first Shinkansen bullet train. Every D51 rolled off production lines with interchangeable parts, identical specifications, and proven reliability. Even during World War II's material shortages, production continued because the railways could not function without them. The D51 hauled everything from military supplies to coal trains across Japan's mountainous terrain. The 2-8-2-wheel arrangement provided excellent adhesion on steep grades. The locomotives worked until 1975, nearly 4 decades of continuous service. Here is the remarkable part. 174 D51 locomotives survive in preservation today, far more than any other Japanese steam class. 5 remain in operational condition, still hauling excursion trains. The D51 even became famous internationally through its appearance as Hero in Thomas the Tank Engine. That character perfectly captures the D51's defining trait: absolute reliability. Number 5. Union Pacific Big Boy. The Big Boy wasn't just built to last, it was built to move mountains. When Union Pacific needed to haul 3,600-ton freight trains over the Wasatch Range without helper locomotives, their engineers created the largest steam locomotive ever to turn a wheel in regular service. From 1941 to 1944, American Locomotive Company built 25 of these truly massive articulated giants. Each one stretched 132 feet long and weighed approximately 1.2 million pounds. That's heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747. The 4-8-8-4 wheel arrangement put 2 complete sets of driving wheels under one enormous boiler. The engineering was built with wide margins for reliability and safety throughout. Big Boys routinely exceeded their design specifications, hauling up to 4,200 tons at sustained speeds. Number 4014 accumulated 1,031,205 miles before retirement in 1961. Then it sat dormant for nearly 60 years. Union Pacific retrieved it in 2013 and spent 5 years on restoration. In May 2019, Big Boy 4014 steamed again for the Transcontinental Railroad's 150th anniversary. It's now the world's largest operating steam locomotive, proving that proper engineering outlasts even decades of neglect. 8 Big Boys survive today. That's a remarkable preservation rate. The Stanier 8F proved that sometimes the best locomotive is the boring one. Between 1935 and 1946, British workshops built 852 of these heavy freight locomotives. The design was so successful that the War Department chose it as their standard freight locomotive during World War II. That decision made the 8F one of the most widely traveled British steam locomotive designs ever built. These locomotives served on every continent except Antarctica. They hauled military supplies across North Africa, through the Middle East, and into Italy. After the war, many remained overseas, running on railways from Egypt to Turkey to Iran. Some worked in foreign service for decades longer than their British counterparts. The engineering was deliberately conservative: 2 cylinders, simple valve gear, and a large firebox that could burn almost any fuel. Nothing fancy, nothing to break. Crews could maintain them anywhere with basic tools. The ruggedness of the 8F came from Stanier's practical philosophy. He designed for the real world, not the drawing board. Even today, preserved 8Fs are among the most reliable heritage locomotives. They just work. Several remain in operational condition, still hauling heavy trains on heritage railways. Some things deserve to last forever. When India needed a modern passenger locomotive after independence in 1947, they ordered a design that would serve for 50 years. The WP Class Pacific exceeded those expectations. Between 1947 and 1967, American and Indian builders constructed 755 of these powerful machines. The initial order went to Baldwin Locomotive Works in Philadelphia. They created a locomotive perfectly suited for India's demanding conditions: extreme heat, dust storms, flooding during monsoons, and track that varied wildly in quality. The WP featured a robust 2-cylinder design with a wide firebox that could burn low-grade Indian coal efficiently. The locomotives proved remarkably adaptable. Some operated in blistering desert heat. Others climbed Himalayan foothills. Many hauled prestigious express trains like the Frontier Mail and Deccan Queen for decades. The WP class worked until 1995, when India finally completed dieselization. That is nearly 5 decades of frontline passenger service. Several WP locomotives accumulated over 2 million kilometers in service. Today, 4 remain in operational condition, and dozens are preserved across India. The WP represents steam technology's global reach and proves that good design transcends national boundaries. South African Class 19D, built by South African Railways, was designed for one purpose: to survive the bush. From 1937 to 1949, North British Locomotive Company and local workshops produced 235 of these rugged machines. They became the most successful steam design in South African history. The Class 19D worked branch lines where conditions would destroy lesser locomotives. Dust infiltrated everything. Water supplies were scarce and often alkaline. Track maintenance was minimal. The locomotives had to operate with limited workshop support, sometimes running hundreds of miles from proper facilities. The design addressed every challenge. The 4-8-2-wheel arrangement spread weight evenly on light track. The boiler used a wide firebox suited to South Africa's variable coal quality. Roller bearings on all axles reduced maintenance intervals dramatically. The Class 19D became legendary for reliability. Many accumulated over 1 million miles in service. They worked until 1991, over 50 years after the first examples entered service. Several survive in operational condition today. Number 3322, nicknamed Doris, still runs excursions, demonstrating the design's remarkable durability. The Class 19D proved that locomotives built for harsh conditions often become the longest-lived of all. Number 1. Union Pacific Challenger. The Union Pacific Challenger stands at the pinnacle of steam locomotive longevity. Built between 1936 and 1943, these articulated 4664 locomotives were designed for demanding mountain operations. But one example achieved something extraordinary. Number 3985 remained operational longer than any other articulated locomotive in history. The Challenger's design pioneered high-speed articulated operation. Unlike earlier mallets that crawled along at freight speeds, the Challenger could run at passenger train velocities while hauling massive tonnage. 69-inch driving wheels were unprecedented for an articulated locomotive. Union Pacific built 105 Challengers, and they served until 1962. Number 3985 was retrieved from storage in 1981 and restored over several years. It ran mainline excursions until 2010, nearly 70 years after it was built. Today it awaits further restoration at Cheyenne. The Challenger represents steam's final flowering. Union Pacific used these locomotives to prove steam could match diesel performance. They failed to save steam, but demonstrated what properly engineered locomotives could achieve. Several Challengers survive in museums, but 3985's decades of preserved operation remain unmatched. It proves steam locomotives can run indefinitely with proper care. And that's all, folks. These 15 locomotives prove that proper engineering creates machines that outlast their designers, their operators, and sometimes entire nations. If you enjoyed this journey through steam's immortals, hit subscribe for more locomotive history. Here is another video I have specially selected for you. See you next time.